Production support for the Friday Zone is provided by Smithville, a locally owned business serving central and southern Indiana since 1922, with residential and business internet, voice, and security services. Smithville, local pride, global technology. Information at smithville.net. The Margaret A. Cargill Foundation, and WTIU members. Thank you.
Taylor, are you afraid of bugs?
Nope.
I sure am. I hope you guys don't have a fear of bugs.
Well, come join us in the zone to get more acquainted with these creepy crawlies.
You're not alone. You're in the zone. So hang up the phone and get in the zone. Get in the zone. The Friday Zone. You're in the zone. The Friday Zone. Everyone is invited to come. Everyone is invited to come. Everyone is invited. Get in the zone. Everyone is the Friday Zone.
Hi everybody, and welcome back into the Friday Zone. For today's show, we hope you do not have entomophobia. Do you know what that is, Taylor?
No, I don't, Emily. What's that?
It's actually the fear of bugs.
Oh, well, I don't know about you, Emily, but just the thought of bugs are making me feel a little squeamish. I mean, but anyways, in the zone today, we are going to be conquering our fear and getting to know these creepy crawlers a little bit better.
Good. Well, and there's no better way to conquer your fear than to meet it head on. Joining us in the zone to help us do just that is our friend Tom Turpin, professor of entomology at Purdue University and our honorary bug guy. Welcome, Tom. Thanks for coming to the zone.
Nice to meet you, Tom.
Hi, Taylor.
So now, Tom, tell us a little bit about what you do at Purdue.
Well, I'm an entomologist. I am a scientist who studies insects.
Okay.
But sometimes people think an entomologist also studies other arthropods like spiders and ticks and mites. So we kind of deal with all of the creepy crawlies.
Ah,
Lucky
gotcha.
you.
Cool.
So now tell us a little bit about these little things before we get to our creepy friend.
Well, historically, people haven't liked insects,
Right,
and so we've tried to get rid of them. and we've done that with things, for example, like a back scratcher. These are not really back scratchers. They were used to get rid of lice that were feeding on us. Yeah, these should be called louse dislodgers.
I did not know that.
And then we noticed that animals had problems with insects, and horses, for example, used their tail to swish away the flies. So humans decided if we put the horse tail on a stick, call it a fly whisk, we could shoo the flies away from things, and we have in Indiana shoe fly pie, named after that activity.
Nice.
So, and then we decided it wasn't enough just to shoo them away, so we were going to kill them with things like fly swatters.
Yeah.
And this is a sort of a replica of an old traditional fly swatter.
Looks a little painful if you ask me.
It is for the fly.
Exactly.
But
Not
it
for
makes
us.
the humans feel good
A lot
because they're
better,
trying
yeah.
to get rid of them, you know. So
Now, if we are not afraid of bugs and we like them, how do we improve our relationships or attitudes towards them?
well, certainly you can try to learn more about them and what their roles in nature may be, but also overcoming a fear of insects is sometimes handling insects. I have brought along a few creatures for us to handle.
Have you really?
And I thought that you two would be the perfect folks to do some handling. So we're going to start with Emily.
Okay.
And yeah, Emily, I've
Great.
brought along a little creature here called a tomato hornworm caterpillar.
He is
And you
very
asked
pretty.
us if we name him. This one's called peppermint because it looks like a peppermint color.
Look at this.
Now, out in the wild, they wouldn't look that way. They'd be green, so they'd blend in with their environment.
Right.
But this one is missing something in its diet, so it has more of this sea foam color.
It's very pretty. It kind of matches my eyes.
Oh,
Matches
yeah.
your shirt a little
Maybe-
bit there, too. Get that a little closer to your mouth.
No.
That's the reason I chose Emily, not Taylor, to hold that because of the matching things.
See?
We try
He's a
to be
good eye.
color coordinated
Yeah.
here, you know.
Perfect.
So that. But I wanted to give Taylor a chance. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I wanted
Let's
to give
do
you a
it.
chance. I figured that you ought to hold something that would be a little more challenging
Okay.
than to just to match your eyes. So I want you to hold a Madagascar hissing cockroach.
All right.
He
These
matches your shirt.
the largest cockroaches in the world by weight from the Isle of Madagascar. Don't worry about them. They're not going to bite you. They're nature's recyclers. make pretty good pets. And
Really?
in fact, you can get a lot of free meals if you take them to a restaurant and release them at the appropriate time.
Where do they get the hissing part of their name from?
Well, they actually make a hissing sound like a snake. If they are, let's say, disturbed by a predator, they'll expel air out of their spiracles and make a hissing sound. So they're called hissing cockroaches.
Pretty
Interesting.
pretty
It is.
interesting
It's
there.
very pretty.
And there are a lot of cockroaches in the world.
Right,
you know,
right,
there are
right.
several thousand species, 3,000 or so. Only 5 or 6 of them have moved into our homes and caused problems. But we don't like them because they are aggressive enough to try to live with us.
Right.
And that means that most people try to get rid of them.
Exactly.
But they don't cause a lot of problems except maybe an allergic reaction, like an asthmatic reaction. So there are 2 things. Now we have a immature hornworm caterpillar and the adult here insect, we call it cockroach. So I'm going to give Emily a chance then to hold one other thing. If you want to get rid of peppermint, I'll put her over here.
Will.
Yeah, there you go. So this is not an insect, Emily, but this is kind of an ancestral insect. This is what we call a giant tropical millipede.
I think, Tom, I'm going to let you hold him.
No, I don't think you are, Emily. I think what we're going to do, Emily, put your hand over here. You are going to hold a giant tropical millipede. Now, Emily, you are...
My attitude is getting better because I could not say that I would ever have done this before.
No, you can't. But think of it
I can feel his legs.
as getting a 320-leg massage right now as she starts crawling across your hand. So and these are just like the cockroaches that Taylor has in his hand in that they're nature's recyclers. They feed on plant material that falls off the trees out in the tropical forest where they live. So play a very important ecological role and don't cause any harm to humans except maybe entomophobia.
So I know we're running out of time, but you have one more
thing.
creepy crawler.
Oh yeah, one more creepy crawly to kind of get us started today. Hang on to that millipede because Taylor is actually going to hold a tarantula.
Let's do it.
All the way from South America, a Chilean rose tarantula. Don't make a sound like a cricket because that's their prey item, and they'll normally only bite if they think you're a food item. So if you sit there very gently, put your other hand over there, let her crawl right onto that hand. As long as we treat them very, very kindly, they'll be kind to us.
Tom, we want to say thank you so much for changing our attitudes because I do agree. It's how you approach them first.
Exactly.
So, thank you.
Believe it or not, most all bugs have a purpose, like this little critter right here. So the Friday Zone field crew and former host Katie Sullivan traveled to Brown County, Indiana to see how a certain bug can help break down our trash. Check it out as these wiggly worms in this Friday Zone flashback.
At Wolf Ridge Worm Farm, located just east of Nashville, Indiana, owner Charlotte Deer Wolf magically turns garbage into gold with the help of several thousand hungry red wiggler worms. Little did Charlotte realize that an unusual Christmas gift would not only introduce her to a new hobby, but help shape a side business and her future.
Well, many years ago, my brother gave me a worm bin and a pound of worms as a Christmas present. And I really treated it pretty poorly, and we just filled it with shredded newspaper. But by gosh, at the end of that winter, I had just a little handful of really nice looking castings. So it's vermicomposting sort of ties in with all my other beliefs of live simply and organically and reduce energy use.
According to Charlotte, red wigglers are not only the best pets she's ever had, but they are also the best type of worm to use for vermicomposting.
And the kind of worms I use are red worms, or called red wigglers. And they live on the top 4 to 6 inches of the soil and eat things that are high in nutrient content.
Since worms don't have teeth, Charlotte whips up a special bite-sized diet for her worms.
I use composted organic cow manure, and you have to make sure that it's already been broken down. Leaf mold and paper and cardboard are a big source of things to feed the worms. You have to cut it into strips, you have to soak it, but all of that will decompose.
Up the ridge from her home in Charlotte's shop, some of her worms live in a homemade contraption called a continuous flow bed.
Well, it's called a continuous flow bed, but it's really very simple, and that's the nice thing about composting, that it's very easy. But this one has a dividing board in the center, and I have one bed full, one half of the bed. I'm feeding it and watering it, and the worms are eating away. And then when they've eaten everything on this side, I put new bedding in, take the thing out of the middle, and they migrate to the other side.
You don't have to make a continuous flow bed and have a special shop like Charlotte's. Even apartment dwellers can make worm bins.
That's the great thing about vermicomposting. It can be done in apartments. It can be done in big cities. You can do it inside, and it honestly doesn't smell bad if you take care of it properly. Some people buy the little plastic Rubbermaid tubs.
Once the worms have finished eating and digesting their food and bedding, Charlotte is left with rich dark worm castings, which she harvests, packages, and sells in local nature stores and at farm markets.
These castings that the worms do, they turn our garbage into gold. And so it's sort of like magic. So I call them worm magic. I sell them as a plant, as a soil enhancer. It is magic what the worms do to them in their gut. They give them special enzymes and fungus and microbes that help them keep the plants from getting diseases.
With a name like Worm Magic, it's only appropriate that a worm named Merlin wearing a magician's hat is Charlotte's mascot. With eco-friendly packaging, Charlotte encourages people to think outside the box and then to recycle it. In Charlotte's opinion, everybody can benefit from having a worm bin at home.
Everything we throw away and gets thrown to the landfill lays there in a big pile and gets stinky, and it doesn't decompose properly. And it lets off methane gas, which is partially responsible for all the climate changes. So if every person would do just a little bit and not feed those leaves and those lettuce scraps to the landfill, but instead to put it in their compost bin, then we could starve the landfills and feed the earth.
Friday Zone viewers, if you don't mind getting your hands dirty and want to do your part to help the planet, Charlotte has some encouragement for you.
Hey kids, worms can turn your garbage into gold. So why don't you help your family start your own worm bin? Then you too can help spread global worming.
Your favorite food might be pasta or pizza, but bugs? All kinds of bugs can be a part of a balanced diet, and believe it or not all people around the world incorporate insects into their daily menu. And Taylor and I wanted to jump on board, so Tom is going to show us some hopefully delicious treats in our hands-on zone. Welcome back, Tom.
Well, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be able to prepare an insect treat for you.
So what are we eating here?
Well, we're actually going to eat some mealworms, and I'm going to toss the mealworms into the skillet here. We're going to saute them. Huh. You call them mealworms not because you and I are going to make a meal out of them, but because they feed on grain meal.
Ah,
oh,
okay.
Look at that. That's Steve's
they're just popping and sizzling all over the place.
He just popped out.
Yeah, popped out of there. That's from the frying pan into the fire. How many of you want them rare, or do you want them
well,
medium?
I eat my mealworms medium rare.
Medium rare. Well, we'll do that.
What about well done?
Well done. We'll do that too. I'm sorry, as a chef in a fine restaurant, I can't guarantee them.
Okay. I don't know how fine of a restaurant he's working in right now.
Hey, you be careful. You don't talk about that. But, you know, if they're well done, I have to refer to them as crispy critters, if you know what I mean. So,
crispy critters.
All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to cook them up here just about right today. Right. We got some medium. They're actually in a kind of a health food sauce here. Okay. So if you're worried about lard, that's not going to be a problem.
Good. I need to watch my lard.
Oh, you got to watch your lard so that.
Now, I was going to say, Tom. Now, bugs, these mealworms, they're high in protein, right?
Very high in protein. In fact, the protein content is higher than in most of the protein foods we eat. All of it isn't digestible. Some of it is in the chitin, which is more like a fiber. So we have a health food item here. It's not only high in vitamins, it is low in fat, it's high in protein, it's high in fiber. I mean, you can't go wrong by eating insects.
I should throw some mealworms into my protein shakes after the gym.
That would be great. That would help out. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to put them out here to get rid of a little bit of the margarine so you can taste them, the real flavor of the mealworms.
I really want to get these mealworm juices.
Now, before you try this, I've got to remind you that mostly every day we have a few insects in our diet.
No kidding.
Because in most of the food that we eat, there are insect parts that are allowed to be in that food.
That are allowed?
Allowed to be in there because the Federal Food and Drug Administration has what they call tolerable limits of insect parts in food. Wow. So many foods that come from the field, anything that begins in the field, will probably have some insect parts in it. For example, if you were to eat or have spinach, you're probably going to be getting some aphids and some thrips, small insects that are thrown in. Oh yeah, you have a lot of those, and there can be up to 50 of thrips, aphids, and mites in a can of spinach that size.
Wow.
So you are eating insects.
It's regulated.
It's regulated. Okay. We have a level we call the tolerable limits. It can't be above that. If it goes above it, we're supposed to take it off the market. Most of these foods have stuff that's below that level. But I want you to taste this, so we're going to give you a mealworm to taste. We're eating them as a finger food today, so you're just going to reach right out there and grab a mealworm. You can eat them head first or tail first.
How do I grab this?
Very carefully, Don't play with your food.
I'm sorry, Tom. I'm sorry.
Don't play with your food.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Have a little greasy here.
I'm not nervous anymore.
No, you're not nervous.
Get that on there.
Oh, that's good.
Crispy.
Now wait a minute. You got him?
Got him.
All right, now wait a minute.
I'm going head.
Come on, let's go. Let's go.
Look at Tom.
1, 2, 3.
You know what? It's like a Funyun.
Wow,
Yeah.
Tastes like a Funyun.
This would be great for the IU Purdue basketball game. You could eat them at halftime.
Oh, yes.
See, and we can
I'm sure
come
everybody
together.
would love these.
Oh, yeah.
You
market them all in. Go ahead, help yourself.
They're hard to get.
Yeah, well, they're a little greasy here.
Cheers. This is for you.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you. Yeah, they're not bad. They're like some potato chips. You can't eat just one.
Yeah, that's true.
But they're high in protein.
I'll bet you guys thought only Colonel Sanders could make something finger looking good, didn't you? Go ahead, help yourself.
That's true. Tom Turpin makes the best mealworms
the very best sautéed mealworms right here in Bloomington.
Can't believe I just ate a mealworm.
No, you've eaten 3 or 4 of them.
So can you eat these live?
Oh, sure. You know, all the insect eaters in the world actually consume insects live, the birds, the snakes, the other amphibians. So yeah, you can grab a mealworm. You get the full-bodied flavor of these if you eat them alive.
You do?
Yeah. Here, I'll show you. Here, put your hand out here. Here's some of them.
And, this is all tailored this time.
It's all tailored. Well, all right.
No, Tom, you and I at the same time.
Here we go. What we're
I'll
going to do?
I'll count you down.
Well, you need to chew them to get the full-bodied flavor. So everybody see that? Are you ready?
You're not joking around.
All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3.
1, enjoy. How are they?
They are something I've never tried before. Let me tell you, this is
not bad, huh?
Not too
you
bad,
get the
Tom.
full flavor of that.
The juices are starting to kind of, secrete in my mouth.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Right. Now, Tom, you told us a little earlier that the U.S. is kind of one of the only places that really bugs are not part of our menu, right?
Well, Europe and the United States, almost anywhere else in the world, people actually think that insects are a delicacy. And so they go out and try to get a big batch of them and have a special occasion on birthdays or holidays, and have a few insects that they can eat. So only in North America and Europe do we sort of say, I don't think I'll be having any insects for supper tonight.
Well, we had some insects today for our own little snack, so thanks for letting us know.
Did.
Maybe you're starting a trend.
Well, it could be. In fact, they keep very well. If you order these mealworms, you can put them in the refrigerator. So every time you want to have mealworms for a snack, you can go in and have fresh mealworms, toss them in the old saute skillet, and you're ready to go.
Well,
great new snack food. Well, another bug that people love to eat can definitely be considered a delicacy because you can only find them every 17 years. Check out former host Echo Chappelle as she tried to stomach one of these rarities on our next Friday Zone flashback. And I still have a mealworm floating around my mouth.
Do cicadas have predators? You bet! A lot of animals find them to be tasty treats. Their predators include fish, birds, dogs, even people.
There's a lot of protein and fat.
Would you like to try a cicada? Considered a delicacy by some, you might be surprised at how many people like to eat them.
Okay, so then we have 10 rolls over here that
I picked this morning and then I just froze them live. And then we've been deep frying them, and we have nacho cheese sauce. A little ketchup and mustard. Great, I love it. Great. Find some room for it. You can put your sodas in the... Kelly Brewster and Liz Lehman are two Indiana University biology students who love cicadas, or at least love to eat them. Really? Are they safe to eat, for everyone to eat? Certainly you should never put an insect in your mouth at random, and you would definitely want to make sure that your parents know what you're doing. Cicadas in particular really shouldn't be eaten by anyone who has an allergy to shellfish. Okay. Their shells are made of similar components of that are found in shrimp and lobster and that kind of thing. But if you go to the public library, you can find books and books and books on different kinds of insects that are safe, healthy, and good for you.
And tasty?
And tasty.
So what do you have here with us today?
Well, we have a couple different things that we can try. These are cicadas. These are cicadas that have been dipped into chocolate, and these are cicadas, there's no other coating on them other than they have a little bit of cinnamon and sugar. And we also have cicada chip cookies, so in addition to chocolate chips,
cicada chip.
Yeah, cicadas, there's some cicada pieces in there.
Wow.
And also some very yummy cicada peanut brittle, which is my favorite of the things we've made so far. Yes.
Because you said it kind of has a nutty taste, probably just blends right in.
It does. It does.
All right, well, we have some lucky kids here ready to try some cicadas.
Are you guys
excited?
Yeah.
Yeah, are you going to do it?
Yeah.
You guys go first.
Yeah.
You go first.
You want us to go first?
Yeah, you guys go first.
Okay, I think I'm going to have a chocolate covered.
I haven't had
Oh
these yet.
my gosh!
That's really good. The chocolate.
It tastes just like nuts.
That's
oh
excellent.
My gosh!
I want you guys to do it together. Okay. Okay?
Oh my gosh, I don't think I can do it.
You can.
Okay.
Put it.
Chocolate covered nut.
No. I can't. I will do it. I can't. I'll take it then.
Okay.
Sometimes you gotta pick the little cicada pieces out of your mouth. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
How is it?
That's all right.
It's good. Okay, ready? I will eat this, and it has a big chunk of cicada in it. Okay.
All right.
Okay. You have to.
Okay. You can do it. People all around the world are excited about this.
It's a weird low carbohydrate. Tastes just like a nut, doesn't it?
You don't taste anything.
No, I can't, but it's in my head that it's a bug.
It's hard. Yeah. But that's part of the cultural differences that. Yes, they do crunch.
Buddy.
Well,
I'm even chewing.
That's good. That helps to get it down.
I cannot believe I just ate a bug.
Echo.
And it tastes fine. It really does.
It really does taste fine.
It is.
In addition to being a food source for animals and people, cicadas have been used for certain ailments, and some find them pretty enough to model jewelry after. Regardless of your feelings about cicadas, these unique creatures are only here temporarily. It will be another 17 years before their offspring emerge from the ground to repeat the cycle again.
What do termites and a writing pin have in common? Well, Tom is staying with us to show us this and more about insects, so let's get started.
Well, let's start off with the movement of not only the millipede, but this caterpillar. Okay. If you watch the millipede going along, you can actually see a wave in the leg motion, almost like the wave that spectators at a sports event do.
Yeah.
They do that, and basically once the neighbor does that, then the next one goes along, and then the legs will go along in that wave. The caterpillar crawls in the same way. As it moves along, if she starts crawling, you'll see that the segments actually kind of push themselves forward. I made her mad by moving her over here.
Isn't it kind of like an accordion effect, sort of?
It's sort of an accordion effect. And also, on the back of this particular hornworm, you can actually see through its exoskeleton, you can see its heart.
Oh my gosh.
And you can see that same wave goes through. As the heart beats, you can see it forcing the hemolymph out over the brain in the same way that those segments would move along like an accordion.
It is. It
So
gets
That's
a little bit bigger
amazing.
and
So
smaller.
why is it that we can see its heartbeat right now?
Well, right, for reasons we don't quite understand, but a day or two before it gets ready to go into the pupil case, like we have here, it begins to shorten down, and that exoskeleton becomes translucent, so you can actually see that through there. So you can actually watch the heartbeat
That is
of the
amazing.
insect a few days before
That's my
it's.
friend Peppermint.
This is your friend Peppermint, who is crawling along.
guys-
The heartbeat looks beautiful.
And this is obviously the metamorphosis of insects, going from the caterpillar to the pupal stage to the adult, which is a hornworm moth, would we call it, or a sphinx moth. So
That started out like peppermint, right?
it started out as peppermint, then it goes into the pupal stage, and then it turns out to be the winged form, and that's the form that lays eggs on the plant and starts the whole cycle over again.
incredible.
It's really interesting.
So now we want to try some termites.
Yes, let's see what
Absolutely.
we
I
got
brought
here.
along some termites here. We actually are going to put them out on this paper, and I'll try to dump a few of them out on the paper here and not lose too many of them there. All right, we have some termites out on the page here. They should be, some of them begin to crawl around here a little bit. If we can make this work, years ago scientists discovered that the ink in a papermate ballpoint pen mimics the pheromone of the termite. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually, this is a new pen, if we can get this to going, we're going to see and draw a circle around here. If these termites warm up and get to going, put a few more out here.
I think I can see them smelling it.
And when they encounter the line, if everything's working, yeah, they may be looking. If they get to that line, they will begin to recognize it. They're getting over there.
Oh my gosh.
And they
Look at that.
They see that as their trail marking substance, and so then they follow right along that line. And if they get off of it, then they start turning back and forth so that they can find their way back to their nest. So we'll put more and more of that chemical along the outside.
You could have
and then-
termite
race.
races.
and you can have termite races. You see this one going right along that line and follow right along. And if you want to play some games with them, for example, you can take this and draw the line out away from it. And if he gets to that point, he may go, whoop, he missed it. But he'll go off that track, and then if they get out to the end, then they'll decide, oh, I'm off the track, and turn around and try to find their way back. It's what we call turning behavior on insects on a pheromone trail.
Awesome. Well, Tom, that's all the time that we have this week. We seriously want to give a big thank you to Professor Tom Turbin for joining us in the zone today. Seriously, the experiments were wonderful. If we sparked your bug interest today, we definitely encourage you to check out your local library at the wealth of books and movies they have.
Write to us if you have any questions about bugs or how to cook your bugs at www.fridayzone.org. You can also download this episode or other episodes of the Friday Zone on iTunes for free.
Remember to live, learn, and play with your bugs and friends the Friday Zone way. We will see you right here next week. Goodbye.
All right.
Production support for the Friday Zone is provided by Smithville, a locally owned business serving central and southern Indiana since 1922, with residential and business internet, voice, and security services. Smithville, local pride, global technology. Information at smithville.net. The Margaret A. Cargill Foundation. And WTIU members. Thank you.